Does anybody have any questions on the letters that we had in the second presentation? I have all of those. We can go over what they look like if you'd like. You guys can unmute yourself and let me know if there's something that you want to say. We'll just go.
So I was wondering, you can dispute just anything, right? Is that what you were saying?
You can, well, there's different forms. That's why I wanted to make this available to you. There are different forms of letters that you would want to write. Okay, so this one is to remove inquiries from your credit report. So if you have a lot of inquiries, then you want to ask them nicely if they can remove some of the hard inquiries that will affect your credit score.
Okay.
Because I just received a copy of my report, and I noticed that there's unauthorized credit inquiries made, and you do not recall authorizing this credit inquiry. Okay, so that's one letter.
Okay.
So that's only if you see a lot of, when you pull your credit report from what I told you, then that's one letter. So,
right. I have a question. Is this what the credit repair companies do exactly? Is they go and they dispute?
no, you don't always want to dispute everything. You do not. That's what I'm saying. If you do a credit dispute, it better be a real dispute.
Okay? Right. Okay.
So can you see this one? This letter? This is the credit card. This is requesting the removal of inaccurate information. If you do a credit dispute and it's not actually a dispute, it actually can hurt your credit more than help you. Because they have 30 days to look at it. If it belongs to you, it'll come off temporarily. But if it goes back on, it'll drastically reduce your credit score. So when you do a dispute, that's why I never recommend doing a dispute online. I recommend you go through you pull your credit report. They give you a free report. You look at every line item. Then you mark down your line items and you say which one you want to dispute. But do not dispute anything it's not disputable. If you owe the debt, then you owe the debt.
Right.
So now there's a Goodwill letter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is what you would send to the original creditor, and this is asking if they would be to make a goodwill adjustment on the report to all three, but you have to tell them why, and you have to make some kind of deal with them. This goes to the original creditor. Now, if something that's showing on your credit report more than 7 years, then you would send this letter and tell them, can you please, change whatever, give them a hardship or something. So there's different letters. So that's another one. Then you want to look at basics. There's also another letter that you would want to do, and that is the pay down. So you would give them a letter stating that if you paid your face value or whatever you agreed to, would they remove that credit history after you pay? So that's also another good letter. So it's not wise to dispute everything on your credit report. It does not work.
Okay.
I've seen a lot of people fail at doing that. And it hurts them. It prolongs the whole process.
Right.
So in short, if you owe a debt, figure out how to pay that debt. Figure it out. Do a pay down letter, and then make a deal with them. They will make a deal if they know they're going to get their money, especially the face value. A lot of times they'll take off the interest and the penalties and make you pay the face value and a little bit of fees.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So which is well worth it.
Okay.
So we can help you here. We can help you with pulling your credit report on the website on mynewhome.com under resources. We have 100% of the resources. We have all the letters. We have every Goodwill letter, pay down letter, dispute letter. There are little things that are on your credit report that'll show up too, especially sometimes if they can't find, if you have a same name as someone else. and they cannot find that person, sometimes they'll tag it on your credit and you don't even know. So that's why it's always wise to go through your credit report once a year. You just pull it down the freecreditreport.com, and doing a credit inquiry on your own credit score does not lower your credit score. Does anybody else have any questions on this? We have all the resources, all the tools. We have a pay down debt calculator. What Rosie was saying earlier is so critical, especially if you want to buy a house. You have to come up with 3.5% down payment at least to get a mortgage. And then a lot of times, with a shortage of homes right now, you're not going to get cash back from the seller. So that means you're also going to have to cover your closing costs. So if you really want a house, then you're going to reduce your expenses, like Rosie was talking about in her part. You're going to reduce all of your expenses. You have your must-haves, and you have your wants. So you have to separate that. And with her website, you can probably download all this so that you can do your budget. But if you really want a house, you will calculate what is leaving out of your bank account versus what needs to leave, and stop some of the extra stuff. It's so important. You can save, and then that gives you a true picture of what you can afford as well. So, if you really want a house, you will go through that budget exercise, which is so critical, at the same time as repairing your credit. Because yes, you can get a house at 690, but at 790 you get a top rate interest rate, which would save you, like last week's amortization lesson, it will save you hundreds of thousands of dollars depending on what house you want. So those are the two main things that we have to do today. And we can help you if you need information on where to get those websites again. BB&T's website on downloading the budget, or My New Home and J.com's website. But with all these tools, there shouldn't be no excuse that 6 to 12 months from now, you guys should be able to buy a house. So is there any other questions? Does anybody else want to add anything to this?
What was that question? Your last question? You went out.
Did I went out?
Mm-hmm.
No, I just said, I said, does anybody else have any questions or anything to add to this? Do you have it? Yes. So Shanna's on again. Remember Shanna? She works. She's a. What are you, Shan? She's a underwriter.
I'm a mortgage underwriter.
She's a mortgage underwriter. So if you have any questions, there she is again. So you have a mortgage underwriter, you have a bank vice president, and I see Brian Pierce is on. You have a realtor. So with this group, if you want to buy a house or if you have any questions, I would definitely take this time right now to ask those questions. And if you guys have anything to add, Rosie, if you have anything to add, Shanna, Brian, anybody, Annalise, then I would.
It was great, very informative.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that I didn't even realize on credit as well. So
yeah, your credit is so super important, as Ty was saying, and Shanna will agree with us. as bankers and with Ty's expertise, I'm so passionate to work with both of you, and sat through or together with Ty and many of these sessions. And folks come to us as lenders all the time and don't realize that it's your whole lifelong credit history that we look at. And it's very, very important to keep track of everything and keep that score up and keep that credit card debt down. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I got something I can add to it. When my husband had his stroke in 2010, we were in a really bad spot. And when I was trying to find financial help with keeping the home, we found that my husband had over 27 people attached to his Social Security number and to his name. And I found credit report on .com, and they put a profile together for my husband. They asked all kinds of personal questions that go all the way back to his childhood to create a profile to separate those who were using his social security number and his name and keep his personal stuff that we do separate from anyone else using his name and number. And Credit Report had reached out and gave me a whole list of names, where they were located and what was being used. There was a couple places in Pennsylvania where one was a nightclub / lounge / bar, and it was not only going into foreclosure, but there was a fraud case against it. There was another location where his name and social security was being used at the same time, where someone had bought a house and had done some illegal activities within the property. The property was bought through the illegal activities, and that was against him. And we had no clue, none.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, and if it wasn't for my husband's stroke, we probably would have never found out of all this stuff until maybe him going and trying to gain, access to his credit information or trying to get another loan or something. But credit repair, I like them. I stick by them. They do have a small fee to manage it, but they notify us if there's any activities going on with his social security number and his name in that, because they already know his expenditure activities, what credit cards he has or don't have. They know where he spends his money more so. If we spend money in an area that we normally don't do, we get notified, just like your credit card or your bank account will say, oh, did you buy this? Did you purchase this? Did you go here? And it's just a matter of responding back to them. And then right away, they take that right out of our credit area so it doesn't affect us. So it's a good thing to do, is to keep in with the credit. I use Credit Report and I use Credit Karma. Those are the two that I use. And I have a very good credit score now.
That's good, Luann. And then you say there was freecreditreport.com, the same one that we, yes,
Mm-hmm.
See, yeah, so you'd be surprised how many people do not ever even look at their credit report until it's time. They don't even look at it when they go buy a car. Because
I never did.
yeah, sometimes they won't even tell you about your credit. They don't offer that to you. They just say, I'm sorry, but your interest rates are 13%.
And there's
no reason, yeah.
And there's
so much fraud going on. It's you have to be so mindful and be so careful. There's so much fraud with
because they can,
identity theft, credit theft. It's terrible.
they can come after you for the fraud, but you can't go after them for committing it. That's what they told us.
Wow, how about that?
Yep. There's too much of it going on, so there's no way to sue anyone for using your identity and causing, your credit score to go bad. But if it shows that you have illegal activity going on your social security number or on your name or on your property, they're knocking on your door. They're blowing through your door. You know what I mean? But you can't do nothing against them. There's no way to protect yourself except for keep track of it.
Right. So that's really important. Yeah. And, hopefully the whole community will learn to eventually look at their credit and, start disputing it properly. I've seen it go wrong so many times where they do the online disputes and they say, well, why did my credit score drop 30 days later? It's because you're disputing a charge that's actually true. So, that really hurts. So it's either pay it off or pay it off. Just pay off your debt. It can be done. You just lower your what's going out of your check or whatever. Now I know it's hard during a crisis, like a lot of people were laid off, and unemployment is not paying what your salary would be. But then that's the time to reduce your cable bill and other bills and food bill or whatever, and save money. Be your own bank. We were always told to be your own bank. Bank on yourself, when there's a crisis. That way you use credit properly. Use credit, pay it off. Use it, pay it off. So I don't have anything else. Does anybody else have anything else to add, or does anybody have any questions? Did anybody learn anything? Did anybody learn anything at all about credit?
Of course. Learn new things every day.
Yeah, I learned quite a bit. Thank
Wonderful.
you. Yeah.
Okay.
I did.
Yes, Ty, I learned, and I appreciate those letters. I'm gonna use them as reference for my clients. That was very informational. Thank you.
Yes, and there's so many different letters, and you have to write the right letter for the right
Yes.
reason. Right. I guess dispute has been like the big thing nowadays. Just dispute. But, creditors get angry if you send a dispute letter. They do 30 days of research and they find out it is you.
Yeah.
That
Well, the
doesn't
same
help
with
the
the
cause.
banks, folks. If you have fraud on your debit card, not to get off on another subject, but if you have fraud on your debit card, you can come in and do a dispute. We're going to do that research, any bank. But if we find out, in fact, as you said, Ty, the client or the consumer owes that money, the bank will give you provisional credit. But if they find out it's not truly a legitimate fraud dispute, any bank will take that back.
Take it
So,
back plus fees.
Yeah, as Ty
Yeah.
said, you have to really make sure that, we say it all the time. Well, did you order from Amazon? Did you do this? Did you do that? And then they lose track of that. And then, that consumer is liable for that debt. Yeah.
Yes. And then
Also, you just want to be careful with the amount of disputes that you have on your credit
Yeah.
report, because if you go Fannie Mae doesn't allow disputes. If you go Freddie Mac, they allow one. If you go FHA, you can have disputes up to $1,000 on your credit report. Some lenders just don't allow disputes. So if you are disputing something, if you're going to, if you're trying to get a loan, make sure those disputes are closed or removed before you do anything. I just had an FHA. I had 2 FHA loans that I reviewed, and they both had disputes. And so we had to go back to the borrower to tell the borrower, hey, you have to have those disputes removed. And then if they have them removed, I had one person that wanted to dispute their bankruptcy, but it was clear they filed bankruptcy. It showed that it was discharged. But, a lot of people, what happens is when you dispute it, the companies, if they don't answer within 30 days, then it automatically gets removed. So a lot of people are using disputes as a way to get rid of their bad credit, but lenders are starting to get smart on that. So just make sure all your disputes are closed. Also, with a dispute, if you dispute an account, like a collection account, that raises up your credit score when you have a dispute, because it seems like, okay, that collection account really isn't theirs, or they really weren't late. So it pulls your credit score up. So their lenders are starting to get wise to that. So make sure just when you are disputing something and then you're trying to apply for credit, make sure that dispute is closed before you apply for the credit.
That is really, I didn't even know that. See?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know people are disputing it. It seems to be very popular because you could dispute online now.
Oh yeah, you can
But you
dispute
lose
everything.
track of it. So it's better to go through that credit report. And if it's not yours, then you dispute it. But if it's yours,
Yeah.
you got to make some other arrangement. You got to
I had a borrower who disputed and had a foreclosure removed. And we pull, of course, we can pull Nexus Lexus,
Yeah.
or we have a loan safe report, but it shows all that information. So what you try to hide from your credit report, it can come up another way.
Yes. Very important. Very important.
Yeah.
So.
Sorry not to extend the
No, that
discussion.
was good.
No,
No,
that's
that
so
was
true,
perfect.
Shanna. Yes, as
Yeah.
well as again, any forbearance due to
Yes.
COVID on mortgages, that shows
Yes.
up, as I said, on your credit report, and then you have to pay that back or you haven't. That's considered past debt, so that's also not something you want to do if you don't have to do, especially
Have
if you're a
to,
business
exactly.
owner, you want a loan. Yes.
Wow.
Or a
Yeah,
mortgage or
it's there.
when you
It's there
refi.
if you need it, but if you don't need it, don't do
Right.
it.
So
Right.
even if forbearance is going to hurt the economy.
Well, if forbearance is not, it's not going to hurt. It's not going to hurt your credit score.
No,
What
but
happens is that
history.
yeah, well, you just have to, like, if you're doing a conventional loans, you have to get out of forbearance and make three payments. Or if you're doing a government loan, you have to be out of forbearance and make 12 months payments.
Wow. So that really
yeah.
delays things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does.
That really delays things. So
Mm-hmm.
well, it's an eye opener because we need to teach everybody about, what this really does. We take it lightly, our credit and stuff. But it really drives our future and being able to keep your own money. We need to keep our own money.
Yeah.
We're paying so many fees and high interest rates, and it's just not necessary. All because we're a high risk. So it's like you're paying insurance on yourself to someone else because of your risky behavior.
Yeah.
So.
I have one question for Shana.
Yes.
A person who has a forbearance decides to sell the house and sells the house and pays the forbearance off. So they no longer have a mortgage payment.
Mm-hmm.
How does that affect them on their credit? I mean, how does that affect them for buying another house?
And they still have to show 3 payments. Well, okay, so that's tough because I know on a refinance we just had that. No, the borrower refinanced a property, and the loan that they refinanced, they were in forbearance. So yeah, but they had already refinanced it. So wow, that's a good question. They would have to get out of forbearance. They still have to show that they had enough payments, that they made the payments. And short sales are really killing people now too.
Okay, we're gonna have to talk about that later too.
Sorry,
I need to know that.
That's a good question.
Yeah.
I'll have to get back to you on that one to see to see how that would affect. I don't know, maybe Rosie knows.
Well, I have someone who's doing it. That's why I'm asking the question. He's got a house in forbearance. The forbearance ends at the end of September, and we're due to settle the house like September 15th.
I would have to check on that as well to give you the proper information. Yes.
Yeah, if he's trying to purchase again, I would have him make a payment.
Yeah.
If he's able to, have him make a payment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, even if it is in forbearance, I would still make a payment.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but I'll get an answer for you though.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, I have a question. I have a mortgage on being I want to do a lot of major repairs and stuff on my house, upgrades and whatnot. How do you get a mortgage or a loan and that attached to your mortgage? Do you get it attached to your mortgage, or is it a separate whole loan altogether? What is that? How do you do that?
Well, so yeah, Luann, you could do a second lien, yes, on your property, do a second mortgage. Just know that most banks, with being prudent lenders, we're not going to go up to 100% financing. So you have to do an appraisal on your house, and our institution will go up to 85% loan to value. So whatever that appraisal comes in, you back out that first mortgage, and then, whatever the value of the house is, you multiply times 85%, back out the first mortgage, and that's your lendable equity. So you could do a second for home improvements if you have the equity in the house. Yes.
So what do you take when you go for the loan? You take and you add, or you make
whatever
the loan big enough so that it pays that percentage in the mortgage to get the money borrowed to pay that off, or do you pay it out of pocket in order to get that loan to?
I'm sorry, I didn't fully hear you. So you're talking about fees for the second mortgage, or?
Well, you said that I would have to pay a percentage of my mortgage off.
No, so
The loan
you have to look at the value of your home, like in
Right.
the appraised value. So if you so whatever your first mortgage is, you would have to tell your lender. And then whatever the appraisal comes in, the appraised value of the home, how we figure that out, what the lendable equity is, we can go up to 85%. So say your home's valued at $500,000, you multiply that times 85, whatever that number comes up with, you're going to back your first mortgage off of that, if you will. And then that's the lendable equity. So you have to have equity for a second.
I can, yeah,
So
we can,
that-
we can help you with that tomorrow.
I can email that to you tomorrow. So you have to know, or when the appraisal comes in. So if it's 200,000, you're going to multiply that times 80 or 85%. Now, if you don't have a mortgage, that's the lendable equity. If you do, then you have to subtract what that first mortgage balance is. And then what's left over is what you can borrow for that second lien.
So the mortgage, you say your mortgage is 30 years and it's only a year, so it's still 30 years. And you go in to get the loan, does that add to that 30 years?
No, it's a second,
Time-wise,
it's a separate loan. If you're going to do a second mortgage on your existing, it's two separate mortgages. It'll be two liens on your property.
So one would be 30 years and the other one would be whatever the time.
Oh, I'm sorry. So home equities, ours in particular is the 10-15. So it's a 10-year maturity with a 15-year amortization. So it's for us interest only payments, or you could also lock it in at a fixed rate. You have an option.
And when is the best, is there like a best time to do that, or a time when you shouldn't do it according to the size of your mortgage, your income, and what you want to borrow for?
Yeah, so again, so you should look at, yes, your income versus your debt. So loan to value, the key loan to value, the sweet spot, if you will, is 80%. Debt to income, typically 40%. And then, the rates right now are at an all-time low. Prime's at 3.25. And then, as we spoke about, banks will use a margin depending on the credit, adding risk through a margin. So it could be 20 BPs, 25, 0.5%, it all depends. And then there's an option where you could roll in the closing costs or pay some costs up front. So, we have to do insurance review, title, appraisal. So, and, again, that appraisal has to come in, which they're coming in nicely higher now. So, again, you take that appraised value, you multiply that times 80 or 85%, back out your first mortgage, and that's what we could lend you, or an institution can lend you. Yeah.
Could I pick my own, could I pick my own level or my own rate of what I want to borrow?
No, it's the rate is approved by your credit history, by, your credit score, your debt to income. If it's a second lien, it's slightly higher because of risk, because with a second lien, if someone loses their job and they can't pay their mortgage, there's not one, there's two. So usually then that first bank gets paid first. So you can pick your rate, Luann, with our institution once it's approved, and you don't want to do the interest only payments, then you can lock into a fixed rate and you can pick that. But they're fixed, like we'll say, okay, this is our 3-year, this is our 5-year, this is our 10-year, 15-year rate, and you can lock in that rate instead of going with interest only payments, because that's like a credit card and you really don't get that far with just doing interest only payments and pay down that principal.
So if you lock it in and you get near your deadline and you still owe money on it, is there any way to take it and unlock it to extend that time frame? So you
On
don't go-
on the original line there is, but on the fixed part, once that fixed part matures, then you do have to pay that balance off.
So
Yeah,
there's no-
because that's a fixed loan commitment, a contract. Yeah.
I have a question now for somebody like, can you refinance into a 203K if you own the house? Which is a Luann, 203K is a construction loan, so that you can do repairs and refinance
Well,
altogether.
Oh, okay.
It's sort of, but it's a 203K is like a second lien. It's not like it's not like a full loan. It's more so like a second,
Can you do that?
like
on
you
an
said,
existing-
for
Okay, but the
repairs.
lien-
Can you do that on an
And it's
existing
directly
house?
with the HUD.
Yeah, I
With
know.
what?
So like, okay, so let's say the home equity loan rates are up right now, but the regular loans are lower. I didn't know if you can own your own home and do a 203K and then ask for like, whatever, up to 85% loan to value. Let's say she owes 100,000 and she needs 50,000 in repairs and her house is worth 200,000. So she can get out 150,000 with a new loan. Can you do a 203K like that? Or can you just refinance? She may be able to just refinance because the values are up instead of doing out a home equity.
There are closing costs and fees, so to refinance, I mean,
True.
you can roll them in, but that's more cost and you're paying back more interest too. It all
True.
depends.
True.
Yeah.
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 Okay.
Okay, so I got another question. Where you keep talking about a lien, okay? Now I know that because I have a mortgage, I don't truly own my property because I own the bank. And you're talking about another lien to take out another loan. Now,
Yeah.
there's a difference between those liens and the liens that you have on your home for not paying your property taxes, or somebody putting a lien on your house because you bought a vehicle or something off them and you didn't pay it back, correct?
No.
According to your credit scores, it would affect your credit. Like if you were to apply for a credit card or something, the lien for a mortgage doesn't affect you as if you had a lien because you owe property taxes or a car payment.
You're talking about an adverse lien. So no, when you have a home equity loan, that's a different type of lien. That's just because the bank, you owe the bank a certain amount of money. But the kind of liens that we see in our business day to day, you're talking about when somebody defaults on a loan, and
Well, I'm just asking the difference between.
Yeah, there is a difference. One is a negative or adverse lien,
Right.
which negatively affects your credit, and the other one is just a lien because you owe them money.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what I was just wondering.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
you
no,
say
it's different.
lien, and I'm like, wait a minute.
No, it's different. Yeah, so if you get a home equity loan, it's not going to adversely affect your credit.
Right.
Right.
Because if you
They
did,
didn't take you to court for it, right?
if you were to do my credit check right now, you wouldn't find a lien. You'd find a mortgage,
Right.
but you wouldn't find a lien.
What's
So
this?
being that
yeah.
you're saying lien, I just wanted to make sure that the
good
second
question,
mortgage
yeah.
wouldn't be the same as not paying
No,
off your debt. So. Okay,
no, it's a
we're
different
good.
kind of lien.
I'm blonde. What can I say?
But anyway, so I don't have any other things to add to it. Does anybody else? If not, we're done for the night, and I hope everybody learned something. So
Good
we're
job.
good. Okay. Well, good night, everybody, and I hope you can
Good
join us
night.
next week.
All right.
Okay.
Bye,
All righty.
Rosie.
Good
Bye.
night. Thank you.
All righty. Bye bye now.
everyone.
See you
Okay.
later.